What is the goal of your presentation and your speech? By the way, throughout this whole course, I'm going to use the term speech, presentation, talk, PowerPoint, almost interchangeably. I really mean anytime you're speaking to two or more people, and sometimes even one, and it's not just idle chit-chat. It's not just at the water cooler talking about last night's game. You're trying to communicate something very specific. So the first thing you've got to do if you want to be an effective speaker is you've got to have a specific goal. It's like that in any other aspect of business or life. You're not going to succeed unless you have something specific in mind. It can't be just getting through it alive or not looking like a fool. That's too low of an ambition. So you need to have a specific goal in mind. It could be getting that sale, getting that contract, getting hired, getting budget approval. What is it you want people to actually do? Coming up to you afterwards, asking for your card for more information about your service or your product or your business. Getting funding for your startup. What is your goal? You need to have a very, very clear sense of exactly what your goal is. Then and only then can you figure out what to say. Okay, so let me just cut right to the chase. The number one problem every single one of my clients has everywhere in the world, and I work with people from 6 continents and every kind of country, every kind of language. The number one mistake everyone makes is they dump way too much data in their speech. Their presentation is sort of, here's everything I know on this topic. Here's everything we've done for the last quarter. Here's every sales figure for every week for the last 2 years. Here's a PowerPoint with 29 bullet points per slide, and it's 72 slides. So if you want to just hop right up to the advanced level now and not spend years and years and years of trial by error, all you have to do is this one thing, and that is eliminate the massive, massive, massive amounts of data most people try to convey in their speech. Here's what I recommend. Brainstorm on every single message point you would like to convey to this audience, then put it in priority and narrow it down to the top 5. Now, I'm a big believer that anytime you're giving a speech, you should really focus on just 5 key ideas, 5 messages. Well, why is that? It's because I actually test audiences all over the world. Here's what I've found. Every time I go to an organization to do a public speaking training or give a speech in front of a large crowd, I always ask people, I say, can you think of the best speaker you've seen in the last year, last 5 years? Now, can you tell me every message point you remember from this fantastic speaker? Not that they were funny or they walked around the stage a lot, but I want to know how many messages do you actually remember from this fantastic speaker? Now, sometimes I ask this question, people say, oh, TJ, I don't remember anything, but he was funny. Sometimes people remember 1 message, occasionally 2, sometimes 3. Every once in a while, someone will remember 4 messages. And once every 6 months, someone will remember 5 messages from the best speaker they've seen that year, or perhaps their lifetime. Now, all the many years I've asked that question to people, I've never actually had anyone remember more than 5 points, 5 main messages from a speech. So that's why I urge you to focus on just 5 points. Now, interestingly, the very same people I'm training in person who say they can only remember 2 or 3 or 4 or at most 5 points, 2 minutes later, they're getting up to give their speech. And sure enough, what do they have? 7 points on the first PowerPoint, 18 points on the second, 9 points on the third. And I always say, but wait a minute, you just said the best speaker you've seen in your life, you remember 3 or 4 or 5 points, and now you're trying to convey 72 points in this presentation. Oh, yeah, but TJ, my audience is different. Our corporate culture is different. No, it's not. You just proved it. You're a part of your corporate culture, and you don't remember more than 3, 4, 5 points. So if you just follow this one tip, you're instantly going to get to a very advanced status as a public speaker, as a presenter, as a communicator. And emotionally, it's hard to do because people feel like, gosh, TJ, if I don't tell people every single thing we do, Smithers here might say I left something out. Janet might complain that I was superficial. Harold over here will complain that his pet project wasn't mentioned. You know what? I better play it safe and just dump all the data and tell everything and put every point in there, and then everybody will think I'm smart. Now, you know what everyone thinks when you do that? TJ's really boring now. Let me just check my email. That's the only thing people are thinking. So when you dump data, that's the real sign of a very, very insecure speaker. Because what you're really saying is, I'm afraid people aren't going to like me and think I'm smart. So I'm going to have to tell everybody everything I know, and then they'll respect me. That is complete, utter nonsense. Too many people think of a speech as an opportunity to get a giant wheelbarrow and sort of go around their office for 2 months, gathering facts, gathering data points, gathering old PowerPoint slides from other people, and then it's the day of the speech, and they kind of wheel that wheelbarrow into the conference room, and they just start dumping. And wow, look at the time, there's not much time. I better speak faster because I got so much data to dump. And it simply wears out the audience. It numbs them. You're not impressing anybody. You're not making them feel you're smarter. All you're doing is boring them. Let's go back to our initial criteria of what we're trying to accomplish. We want to look comfortable, confident, have people understand us, have people remember our message so they can take the actions they want. Well, if you've bored people to death in the first few minutes, they're no longer understanding anything you say. They're certainly not remembering it because they're not even paying attention. So how in the world are they going to do what you want them to do if they checked out long ago? And you know what? You're not even going to accomplish your first goal of looking confident, comfortable, relaxed, because chances are you're kind of, wedded to a script, or you're looking at a bunch of slides. So you're really not going to accomplish a single goal. So that's the great irony. People say, well, teacher, I need this PowerPoint with all these bullet points. By the way, I'm not anti-PowerPoint. I'm anti a PowerPoint with lots and lots and lots of bullet points. I'm not anti using notes. I am anti having sheets and sheets of paper filled with lots and lots of bullet points. People say, teacher, I need this script as a crutch for me. And I try to politely tell them, a crutch keeps you from falling down and hurting yourself if you're injured. What you're doing isn't keeping you from falling down. It's actually causing you to fail. So don't tell me it's a crutch. It's really a weight that's bringing down your presentation. So that's my challenge to you. And this is your first homework assignment. You've got to come up with a topic for a speech. The first thing I want you to do is write in one sentence, what is it you want your audience to do? Now, it's a little bit different if you're a student and you're giving just a book report on a classic. It may be what you want to do is motivate your other students to think this book is so fascinating that they want to go out and read it. It doesn't have to be about getting more money or getting a direct sale, but you should think of motivating your audience to do something. So in one sentence, I want to know what your goal is for this audience. I don't mean your goal if I want them to think I'm smart. Your goal should be something you want your audience to actually do. Then, I want you to write down every message point that you could possibly think of, and then put it in priority and narrow it down to just 5. That is your homework assignment. Come up with just 5 message points. A message point is not a big theme with 72 subpoints. A message point is just one idea. It should be something with one subject, one verb, one object. It's not a long run-on sentence with howevers, therefores, buts. It's just one idea. Don't be greedy. Focus on one idea at a time, and you should have simply 5. I want you to type those up on your computer, write it on a piece of paper, but it's critically important you have this degree of clarity, because without that, you're basically absolutely destroying your ability to communicate successfully. You need a roadmap for your presentation. You can't drive from Los Angeles to New York without GPS and without a roadmap, typically, and just follow streets wherever they go. You'll end up all sorts of nooks and crannies, and you'll just never get anywhere. You need a roadmap for your presentation. It needs simplicity. It's going to be easier for you when you're giving the presentation. You know who else it's going to be easier for? Your audience. They need something easy for them to follow. So that's your first homework assignment. Go ahead, do it right now. 5 ideas. And you need to eliminate the stuff that is only important to you but isn't important to your audience. You need to eliminate the fluff. You need to eliminate the nice to knows and keep the have to knows. What is it that you absolutely, positively have to have your audience understanding and remembering? So do that right now.